You are listening to the Sunnybrook Unscripted podcast, where we talk real life, answer hard questions, and take a deeper, practical look at the topics we talk about on a Sunday morning. To learn more about Sunnybrook Church, including our Sunday gathering times and opportunities throughout the week, visit us online at sunnybrookchurch.org. Today, we are talking with Pastor Jeff Mose.
Welcome back to the Sunnybrook Unscripted podcast. I'm Lydia Miller here with my dad, Pastor Jeff. We are talking about the subject of parenting. And we've been hitting these last few weeks on discipline and guidance, maybe a little bit more serious side of parenting. Today we're going to talk about a little bit more of a fun subject.
Good.
We're going to talk about love and how to love your kids and how to love them well. Discipline and guidance are obviously a form of love, but we're going to talk specifically about love languages. Now, this is maybe something, I know we covered this in our premarital counseling, so maybe it's something you've heard of in terms of your marriage, but the reality is love languages are built in us at a younger age and can be super helpful for parenting and loving your kids in the right way as well. So if someone isn't familiar with the love languages, what are they?
Well, there's 5 love languages. Gary Chapman wrote on this. In fact, if you ever want to get his book, it's called The 5 Love Languages. I think it's very helpful. It really was started to be used in this idea of marriage, to know your spouse better, to be able to love your spouse better. But then they started applying it to parenting, which I think is really good. And I think you can identify that early on in your kids. So let me give you the 5. If I mess them up, you'll help me. But the first one is just simply this idea of gift giving, that there's something about giving gifts that expresses love. And again, that's what a love language is. How do I best feel loved? So you're my child, mom's my wife, so the question becomes, what for them, what for you makes you feel most loved? So one of the languages is gift giving. The second one I'd talk about for a minute is encouraging words. So when I say words of affirmation or those kinds of things, that is somebody's love language. Boy, I feel most loved when they pay compliments, when they notice things about me. The third one is physical touch, which when I put a hand on your shoulder, or I hold you or hug you or give you a kiss on the cheek if you're my kid or wife, then there's a sense in which, boy, that for them, this idea of physical touch and closeness. You ride with your arm around your spouse while you're driving in the car, being close together, sitting on the couch together. That makes them feel most loved. The other one is what I would call quality time, which means in a sense, you know, when I spend time one-on-one, when nobody else is around but me and you as a child or as a spouse, just having your full attention on me speaks love more than anything else. And then the last one is just what we'd call acts of service. This happens to be your mother's, so we could talk a little bit about this. But since early on, if I would ever, be at home with the kids and she'd be out for the night, I knew that if I cleaned up the house...
Now, did you clean up the house or did you have us clean up?
I think that's still a mystery that I'd like to keep as a mystery. But that was her love language, and I knew it. It meant the world to her. If I would do the dishes, unload the dishwasher, if I would clean the house, vacuum, make the bed, those kinds of things, that just spoke volumes to her. I could give her encouraging words, it went right over her head. I remember her telling me early on in our marriage, she never liked flowers, so gift giving did not work for her. But acts of service, doing things that they want done means a lot to him. So those are the 5 love languages, if you will. And you just have to search through, I think, both your spouse in conversation and your children and say, how can I best communicate love to you? Because obviously we love our kids, we love our spouses, and we want to figure out how to communicate that. I think the experts would say that at about age 7, you can clearly tell in a child what their love language is. In all honesty, I think I can see it earlier. In fact, if I could just share about your boys last night. We have this little golf cart. We took him in the golf cart last night, and we do what we call, Leo loves it, so does Knox, but this idea of finding ground squirrels. So we go through a park where ground squirrels are everywhere, and we chase them. It's just their fun thing to do. But at
So if you ever see Pastor Jeff running through a field,
that's right.
he's-
If you see me in my golf cart running through a field, I'm after ground squirrels. But so Knox sits on my lap.
Yep.
And he has to. That's just who he is. He likes physical touch and closeness. Now, again, at an early age, as young as he is, it's possible that he likes all five. I get that.
Yep.
But I can sense he's just this physical touch closeness person. Leo, as you clued me in fact, when you clued me in, I saw it all night long. But his love language is encouraging words.
Yep.
So at one point in time, we said, boy, you got an eagle eye. Because he can spot the ground squirrels like nobody else.
Yep.
So for the next 5 minutes, that's all they concentrated. Can you tell me again that I have an eagle eye? Can you tell me again I spot? So there is this sense of encouraging words. I think you can see it in any of your kids. If I did you for a minute, you were kind of quality time, but you were also gift giving.
Yes.
If I came home, and it can be very simple, dads, moms. If I came home with a pack of gum, it meant the world to you because that was kind of your thing. Birthday came, opening presents. You know, some kids just rifle through them and go, can we spend time together? Because their love language is quality time, but some people really like gift giving. So I would just say, sort through that for your spouse first, and then sort through that for your kids. And here's what I know about love languages. First of all, it's the primary one that says, I love you to you. But it is also whatever, I sort of receive with regards to love is the primary one that I speak to.
Yep.
So whatever your gift, of receiving love is, it's probably the one that you most often give to other people as well.
And it's important to be intentional about that because that is always my default. My love language is gifts. So if anyone wants to bring me anything, feel free. But I also then express my love to people in that way. If I want to show a coworker that I appreciate them, if I want to show someone that I care about them, I express it the way that would make me feel most loved.
Correct.
But it's not going to be...
Not necessarily. And again, you can't know that in every relationship. But I would say we should speak all five.
Yep.
I think all five have some roots in the New Testament and who Jesus was. But there's a sense in which, especially for those who are close to me, I want to know. It can be as simple as, can you tell me what makes you feel most loved?
Yep.
Let me just give you the five.
Yep.
There's a quiz you can actually take that helps narrow that down for you. But I think it's just a good thing to know of the people who are close to you. Because I don't want to be spending money and giving flowers to somebody who goes, listen, you could throw those flowers away. Would you clean the house?
Yep. Yeah, I think that's good. So let's talk about, can you teach your kids the love languages then as well? So for example, can I teach Leo what Knox's love language is so that when it comes to Knox's birthday or in a moment that we want to appreciate him, that Leo can express it in that way?
Absolutely. In fact, I think you should. Again, biblical ethics, as we talked about before, is always other-centered, and you want your kids to get to that point. I'm concerned, and let's not talk about this too much, because I don't want it to sound like I'm so mad at the generation behind me, but I think it's just an overcorrection. It's this sense in which now we have put our kids, and I talked about it before, in the center of our universe and everything revolves around them. We call it child-centered parenting, and literally it's all about them. Yep. Then you come to a birthday and it's the birthday of a sibling, and some parents give gifts to the siblings because they don't want them to feel left out or those kinds of things. I think just the opposite should take place. We should say to our kids, listen, today is Leo's day. We are celebrating Leo.
Yep.
I'm not giving a gift to Knox. And Knox, I want you to be encouraging toward your brother today because we want to move them toward being other-centered. And I think that's why we should learn what their love languages are, speak to them in that, teach siblings to do it because it's not constantly about them.
Yep. I think one thing, if you're listening in and this hasn't been something that you've maybe been familiar with, you can look up those love languages online. I think something that would be maybe helpful tonight, sit down with your spouse and talk through what each other's love languages are, but then go through your kids. Trent and I had a fun time talking through our boys and just how we think that they each receive love, but then how we can intentionally love them, because I think that's a really important thing to do as a parent.
Yeah, and there's even a quiz online. If you just Google love languages, you can take a quiz to figure yours out. Your spouse can figure. You can have your kids do it. It can be a fun exercise to do together as a family.
Yep. Love that. finding ways to be more intentional with our love for one another. Well, thank you for joining us this week. We'll be back again next week with more on the subject of parenting.
If you are encouraged by today's talk, be sure to rate us and hit subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you stream your podcasts. To experience other talks, videos, and live gatherings, visit us online at sunnybrookchurch.org or download the Sunnybrook Church app. And again, thanks for listening to the Sunnybrook Community Church podcast.